All right, look, man. You guys, uh, Danny, the sports guru that's on the show. You know what I'm saying? All three of us can hold our own talking. Was this the craziest weekend that you can
Uh,
remember in playoffs, or was
on
it just because it just is it like a? Because I always try to be mindful of like
recency
recency
bias.
bias. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
like yeah.
No, I
So
think
what
it
do you
prisoner
got?
does.
of
I
the
don't think
moment.
we've ever had a divisional round where every single game ends on a walk off. Right? Three games ended on walk off kicks, and the fourth one ended up
Hmm.
with a game winning TD in overtime. And I'm fairly certain I heard that that's never happened before. So it was definitely wild. I
Yeah.
unfortunately
What?
missed a lot of the games, but it was
Yes, I
definitely
mean
wild.
family time is family time. You
No,
don't
for
think
sure.
when you're away, you're gonna miss the greatest NFL weekend ever, right? Like that's not a thing that
No,
you're gonna think like you missed one good game, but like all four, it's impossible, impossible.
I lucked out though because I somehow managed to like watch the last couple minutes of the last three games, like
Hmm.
the Tampa Bay
Rams.
Rams game. I was
Hmm.
at a rest stop, a rest area, making a line for Dunkin' Donuts, and dude next to me was watching on his phone. So I watched the last 2 minutes of that game. Got home in time to watch the end of last night's game, Chiefs and Bills. So I got to see the good stuff, but yeah, I missed the majority of the games. It
What
was
about you,
crazy.
Jay?
I've never seen anything like it, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was very upset when the Bills scored with 13 seconds left.
Yeah,
I did
yeah, yeah.
not want to see them succeed. And
I said
man,
game
I was
over.
so happy. Like, who scores with 13 seconds left?
No, Patrick
Not the
Mahomes.
Cowboys, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they had 17 seconds.
they don't. They had one play. They had one play. Couldn't even do that.
Couldn't even spike it. No, with
Yeah,
13 seconds, I honestly thought, okay, they're gonna get it close enough to try a Hail Mary because Patrick Mahomes has the arm for a Hail Mary. But
Yeah.
that's
facts.
it. Never
Yep.
did I think that they were gonna. But I mean, if you think about it, they didn't script kick it, which I was expecting. Tony Romo called it, and they kicked it and they downed it in the end zone. And then for some reason, they have two timeouts left, but they decided to defend the sidelines. They don't have to throw it to the sideline. They have two timeouts. They can
Hmm.
go in the middle of the field, which is exactly what they did. They went up the seams.
Yep.
So I'm
Did they
not
have
sure
two
what the
or three?
Bills. They
They
had
had
two
two.
timeouts.
They had two.
Okay.
But like, I mean, you can't criticize the Bills' defense because they were the best defense in the league all year. So it's kind of
Yeah, you
hard to
can.
criticize them. But man, the situational
That
play
was
calling
terrible.
right there at the end of the game was terrible,
Yeah.
terrible.
They played. It felt like they played prevent defense, right? Which the famous slogan with that is just prevents you from winning,
Right.
Right.
and that's what they did. What about you, Jay?
No, I mean that's the criticism that I have of the Bills defense. We talked about this last week, and
Mm,
I said I'm taking the Bills because I think that defense is going to find a way to stop KC, to stop
mm,
Tyreek Hill, like a lot of teams did. Like the 49ers almost did a couple years ago till the last quarter.
mhm.
Um, and the Bills are going to do it again. You didn't miss much. They scored 25 points in the last
Yeah,
2 minutes. It was
yeah,
crazy. That was everything right there.
hmm
Not
hmm
that it
Yeah,
wasn't a good
I
game
watched
before, but that was
the
everything.
majority of the game. Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, but the Bills, I mean, 13 seconds they score. I said it's over. I
yes,
was, I don't have a rooting interest one team over another. I mean, I like Kansas City, I like Mahomes, but God, 13 seconds. It was the opposite of Dallas. Dallas had no
hmm
timeouts. They had a couple more seconds on the clock, but they had no timeouts. And that situational awareness, like, the coaches should have known better. They can't throw down the middle. They can't throw down the seams. It could be a quarterback sneak, and then he'll give himself up, and they can call a timeout, which is
And
exactly what they. And the Bills not only did they have the timeouts, the Bills facilitated it for them because they were playing prevent, because they were giving him so much cushion
hmm
that the first one was a 15 yarder, and then the
19,
one to and
it was
then the
nice.
one to Kelsey was the like 25
25.
30 yarder
Yeah, yeah.
They went like
44
44
yards
yards in 10 seconds.
in 10
in 10
seconds.
Insane.
seconds. Yeah, yeah. It's it was incredible. Like in that in that last 2 minutes, I watched it. I was like, I think I must have said like, oh, that's game's over 4 times. I was like, because there's like you're thinking like there's no way they're gonna answer right back because that doesn't happen, right? Like usually one of them struggles, like they went pom pom pom, like that
Yeah.
never happened. Usually a quarterback blinks. No quarterback blinked in that game. Like Josh Allen, like that dude balled out. He
I was
played
sick to my
perfect. Nine
stomach.
touch, yeah, I know, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, an amazing. but he just can't be Patrick Mahomes. Like 13 seconds, you're thinking it's over. Like everybody thought, oh, they either script kick it or they're gonna like something's gonna happen when the game's gonna end weirdly on a tip ball or it gets picked off like in the Tennessee Bengals game. Something was crazy, and none of that happened. It just
But
incredible.
something that nobody's really bringing up that I think is like it's a big deal. Andy Reid saved those timeouts. People
Yeah.
usually burn timeouts just throughout the game,
I
trying
thought
to stop
so
the clock
too.
to save time. But the
Mhm.
fact that they had 13 seconds left and still had 2 timeouts somehow, like nobody's talking about Andy Reid. And I mean, I don't know if that's genius or what, but that's a big deal because without those 2 timeouts, that game's completely different because they have to throw it to the sideline. The defense that the Bills played would have been perfect for that situation. The only
Right.
reason they got to throw it up the seams is because they had those 2 timeouts.
That's the difference between great coaching and good coaching, right? Like Sean McDermott for the Bills is a good coach. Andy Reid is a great coach. Like Andy Reid was doing that offense and balling out like that in Philly. It just wasn't that time. Like he knew that's knowing your personnel, knowing what your quarterback can do, and not knowing who he is, but like knowing that he's gonna come through, right? Because like people mess up, like but just having that trust in him, like yeah, we're gonna go out with the gunslinger. But again, like even with all that being said, I could rewatch that game and still won't believe that they go 45 yards in 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Like I saw it happen. I'm like, no, there's no way. Like part of me is like in disbelief. Like there's no way they really did that shit. Like there's no way they scored a field goal, a 48-yard field goal with time expiring, and then if they got the ball, it was over. Like I still saw it. I'm like, nah, no way, because that shit doesn't happen.
All
What
those
you gonna
games
say, D?
ended in last second, walk-offs. Which one do you think was the most heartbreaking?
Oh, the Chiefs Bills.
Yeah, for sure. Right?
Chiefs Bills. I mean, because you don't think that's gonna happen. Like we
Because
went
you
into
think
it.
you won the game.
Yeah, we went into it last week. We're like, oh, they got the number 1 defense. They're gonna hold it. Like I had Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes is my guy, but I still didn't think he was gonna do that. Right? Like Bills defense did exactly what Tampa did last year in the Super Bowl, but he dinked and dunked them and had a little bit more time to pass the ball. He didn't throw the ball over 20 yards. His completions were all in the 15. The receivers just made those runs. So it
You're
was
playing against the best
that's
pass
the
defense
most
in the league. You got to play it smart.
the number 1 defense in every category. In every category of that defense. Scoring defense, yards allowed, everything. And it's Patrick Mahomes. Like that defense holds up till you know like when you meet an elite level quarterback.
Look,
What do you
you're
guys
giving them too much credit. Andy Reid and
Well,
Mahomes. Like when it comes to timeouts, because and during one of those series, when Buffalo, I was gonna say with less than 2 minutes, so they scored 3 touchdowns in less than 2 minutes. But
25
during
points.
one of those series, I was like, "What are you doing? Like, call these timeouts. You're not gonna give Mahomes enough time to do anything." And this was before Mahomes threw Tyreek Hill, and he did what he did. Which, look, the guy gave the peace sign to some dude that was
They had the angle.
probably 5
That-
yards up the field from him. He was getting blocked, but he had an angle, and I thought he was
Yep.
going to get there and go through the block, and he was already flashing the peace sign. And I mean,
That's a penalty, though.
When
That's fucked up
Tyreek
thing.
Hill,
Yes.
when Tyreek Hill caught that pass, he made a move. And I know he's fast, but I forget how fast he is because once he made that move, he exploded up the field. Like
fastest.
he
yeah.
was. It was him and everyone else, and I forgot that he was that fast.
You challenging Usain Bolt to a race.
Did they call?
Yeah.
They didn't call that penalty, did they? Because that should
They should have.
taunting.
They should have been. No, it should have been a penalty. Should have been taunting. Should have been touchdown taken away. 15-yard penalty. So that would have been ball at the probably like the 16 or the 21, whatever they want to call it at that play. Yeah, that was a taunting. Like that 100% was a taunting. But
maybe he was trying to stiff arm with 2 fingers, man.
With having those 2 timeouts left, like sometimes you have to just go into like the game and it's just like situational awareness. But you also have you're a human being, you're in that game. Like I don't know how alert you can be, but again, like because Andy Reid's like in his mid-60s, been a coach forever. Sean McDermott is a younger coach. Like that's the difference between calling a squib kick and keeping your timeouts and knowing your personnel. Like it's just these are the same team for the last 5 years. So it's not like there's rotational players in. So I don't know. We're gonna say D.
Now both of you guys said that you like Mahomes, which I get. But is there a more disliked family member of a sports athlete than Jackson Mahomes?
No, there
I've
isn't.
heard
I
about that.
want them
I've
to
read
lose
all
now. They
about that.
eliminated the Bills. I want them to
Yeah.
lose horribly next week
Yeah,
because I cannot
I know.
stand that kid.
He was trending on Twitter. He was like number 5 on Twitter. Like everybody was like, "Yeah, we like Patrick, but bro, your brother's an asshole."
What he,
Like-
he did something at a bar or something. I
Yeah.
forget what
Did
it
no,
you
was.
see
so-
did you read the response that the bar wrote back to him?
Oh, I
No.
did read the response. Yeah.
What the bar say?
Yeah, it was perfect.
What the bar
It was
say,
a
yo?
very long response, but it was
It was from a month or two ago when I read it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, look,
It was.
I've the first time I ever heard of that guy was when he was standing on Sean Taylor's jersey number at the Washington game. So
Yeah, earlier this
immediately, immediately gonna hate you forever.